All right, now yesterday on ILTV's Insider, we discussed the possibility of elections in the Palestinian Authority and their effect on the region and on Israel. And looking meanwhile at the Arab world's evolution in light of the Abraham Accords, the Palestinians are asking the Arab world again, what about us? When is our turn? Well, joining us to talk about the answers to these questions as best as we can gather through social media and caricatures from the Arab world is Middle East and Arab world lecturer and analyst Noam Bannett. Noam, thank you so much for being with us. Now, all right, do you see the Palestinians crying out for peace on social media?
We can see expectation of reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas, but I think the public learned from experience. It's not the first, second, or fifth time that we see both parties trying to become closer, thinking about maybe a joint government, but many times they tried and it didn't happen.
All right, now we see a couple of these characters on screen, and it's showing maybe a little bit of a differing narrative. Is the call for peace amongst the Palestinians, is that bigger than the call for new elections in the PA? Or is the call for peace, maybe bigger than the call for continued conflict?
I think that one is related to the other. You need to see this perspective in with 2 points. One, in 2007, there was the coup of Hamas, and where they threw the people of Fatah from the roofs and they took over the Gaza Strip. And the other is the blockade of the Arab countries on Qatar was done after 3.5 years. So when, just exactly as you said in your first question, the people, the Palestinians asked, what's going on? 3.5 years they had a thing in the Gulf, and what about us? And the Hamas, the big question that Hamas is trying to figure is how can they get more legitimate through the world? And one of the things to do it is elections.
All right, well, so with that in mind, if there were an election in the Palestinian Authority today, which of course many people speculate on the chances of that actually coming to fruition, how would Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas fare?
There's many polls, and we know it's we need to be very careful when we listen to them. You need to remember that the talks about elections, we need to remember that in a week we have the new administration in the United States. That's one of the reasons that Mahmoud Abbas is talking about elections again. They want to get a couple of gestures towards the PA after what Trump did to them. And to your question, I'm very careful to predict, especially about the future. So it's very hard to know what will happen. But we know that Hamas is getting stronger. Abbas is very old. People are talking all the time about the day after him going. So it's not a surprise that he's waiting for this election than more than 10 years because he's very afraid of what will happen.
Well, so what, you mentioned, of course, the polls right now, which are showing that Hamas is polling quite strongly. What are the Palestinians on the ground saying maybe privately? Is that any different? I'm not in any connection with people on the ground, so I can't really answer that question. I can tell you that through the political cartoons, we can see cartoons that are talking about the reconciliation they wanted, and there are also, but through both sides, but there are also political cartoons that are mocking the idea of reconciliation. As I said, we were there already. It's not new. We will be devastated again that it's not working. So we need to wait and see. All right, Noam Bannett, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.